Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience.
Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League. Obviously, the Origin sides have just recently come out. We've obviously given a little bit of a reaction, a little bit of a taste test on our podcast, but I thought I'd get the great Brandon Savage from the Supercoach Experience to hop on with me and talk a little bit of Origin with these teams. A lot of talking points with the sides that have been named, but Brandon, good to have you on again, mate.
Hello, thanks for having me on. Exciting time of year, Origin. It's the best time of year, and the team list, we've been speculating for months and months now, but we finally have it here, and now we can just dissect it.
I'll tell you what, a few unexpected plays here from Madge Maguire and from Billy Slater, a few big ones as well, which we'll touch on in a second. Out of both of these sides, just quickly, what pick surprised you the most?
Nothing really surprised me. I got a bit of a heads up for the Selwyn Cobbo on the bench play on Triple M in the morning, and it makes sense in my opinion. I don't know if we're going to dissect it any further later, but 4 of the last 6 series, an outside back has gone down for Queensland, so it makes sense for them to fill that bench spot. That last forward on the bench never really gets many minutes anyway, so I kind of like it, and I'm a bit disappointed New South Wales didn't go the same way. But looking New South Wales, I'm pretty happy with what we've picked with what's available. But you look at both sides, side to side, and Queensland just look that much better, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's scary as well. I think the Selwyn Cobbo play is scary. He can come on in pretty much any position other than really the halves or hooker and do a job for you. So, yeah, he will be interesting to see how he's used, and we'll talk about it in a second. Let's start, though, with the best in the business, New South Wales. I'll go through the 17 or the 20-man squad quickly. You got Edwards, To'o, Frighton, Suaalii, Lomax, Luai, Hynes, Haas, Robson, Travojevic, Crichton, Martin in the back row, Mcinnes at 13, Yo, Olakau'atu, Leniu, Young, reserves, Keary, Burton, Barnett. Mate, I tell you what, there's a few real head scratches here. The first one for me, and I'll let you talk about this a little bit further as well, Suaalii into the centres. If I'm picking Suaalii in my Origin side, I'd probably rather him on the wing, just his meterage out of his own end, plus you combine that with To'o and Edwards. I mean, it just seems like the right play to have him on the wing there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess it shows the style of play that they want to do. They want their back 5 to be taking the strong carries nice and early. They want to preserve the energy in the forwards, let the forwards do the defending, and then have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4 punch of To'o, Edwards, Lomax, and then you've got Suaalii and Crichton who can take that 3rd carry or 4th carry every set. So I actually don't mind it. We've been pretty light in the centres. It was between Ramian, Latrell, and I think Suaalii has done a job. He probably hasn't performed his best at centre, but I'm confident he can do a job. I think we'll kind of, whoever was going to go there was going to feel in a position anyway. So I'm pretty happy that he's been put there, and he's an athlete, so he can probably create something from nothing. So I like that with the lack of X factor with Edwards at the back now. I think he just adds that little bit. So I don't hate it, but I understand why people are against it a little bit, because he hasn't played his best footy at centre.
Exactly. And plus, you got 2 debutants on the same edge now with Suaalii and Lomax. It does bring a little bit of concern. 2 new players. You'd say a new combination as well, obviously, with Hynes on that side as well. Yeah, look, very, very dangerous and very, very interesting. Personally, and I want to get your thoughts too, I probably wouldn't have picked Lomax after that last game. I would have probably had Suaalii on the right wing, and I probably would have brought Matt Burton in to play left centre with Crichton moving over to the right. Are you sort of in a similar boat?
Yeah, I think so. If you're going to pick Suaalii, I do like him on the wing a lot better, and Lomax just shows them tendencies to lose his head a little bit, and how's he going to do in a big game situation like Origin? I'm happy to see where it goes, and it's a good future play for us on the right wing. So if he does kill it and does do well, then there's our right winger for the next couple of years for Origin, because I can see him do a good job. But yeah, I would have preferred Suaalii on the right with Burton coming in on the left and Crine. I think that makes the side more well-rounded, but I do see it working. I think I'm a bit more optimistic than you are, but yeah, I think I'm probably more ignorant than you are then.
Look, I mean, if it works, it works. But yeah, look, one, we've mentioned it before, Suaalii hasn't really been too impressive at centre. Defensively as well, there have been a few concerns with him at centre. You're having a new combination there in Suaalii and Lomax, two new players, two debutants in this side. Lomax, he does have a few tendencies, whether it be in defence, whether it be with errors, whether it be going for that low percentage play. Plus Suaalii, you know, he has a little bit of that in him as well at some stages. I just feel like it is more, I guess, I wouldn't say structured, but it's a lot safer to go with a Crichton and a Lomax, even though, again, that's very off the cuff. I still think it's a little bit safer than the Suaalii and Lomax call. Plus, you look at Burton and his form over the past few weeks, he probably deserves to be in this side somewhere in the 17. I was shocked that they haven't chucked him in at 14. And I guess good segue into our next point. There's no utility here for the Blues. It is Yo, Olakau'atu, Leniu, and Young. Talk to me about this bench rotation. Is it a little bit concerning we don't have that number 14?
Yeah, I do find it weird. I get Mcinnes can fill in at 9 sometimes, and Robson, does Robson go somewhere? Maybe Hudson Young can go into the centres. Crichton can go out to the centres. I'd be happy with Crichton filling in at the centres if he had to, Angus, that is. But yeah, it's quite weird. But I think what Madge is doing, he's just picking who he thinks is the best. He's not planning for injury, because injury is pretty rare, I guess. You can't always plan for the worst case situation, because that puts your best case situation in a more volatile position. So I think he's just picking what he thinks is going to work. And if it doesn't in round 1, he'll make changes. I am surprised that Cameron Mcinnes is starting at lock, though. I think that's kind of weird. I get Nico Hynes is the halfback, and I think that kind of combination there he's probably more comfortable with, but I would have started Yo at lock, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, I heard when you first heard the rumours about Mcinnes, you just automatically assume, okay, sweet. We've seen this hooker 1-2 punch from Queensland. We've seen that over the past few years. It's probably what's happening here. One of them's going to come in at lock, then swap over and play that number 9 role for the last 20, 25 minutes. But, you know, with him starting at lock, I mean, they could still do it, but it's not like there's someone's coming off the bench and giving impact. Mcinnes is going to play that first 20 minutes. He's probably going to be buggered with the amount of defense that he's been doing there in the middle. You know how much work Mcinnes does get through in the middle as well. It's not like you're getting a fresh Mcinnes in there at 9. You're getting a Mcinnes that's just been battling for the last 20, 25 minutes, or however long you want to play Robson in there for. Yeah, it just throws the impact out of the window. And the other thing as well, if Hynes and Luai go down, we're screwed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, eh?
I mean, you know, Hynes has already got concerns. So if he's deemed sweet to play, goes into Origin and does his calf, like, yeah, it just doesn't put us in the best position, which, again, is what Burton should be in this 17.
Yeah, I agree. I think any injuries to the outside backs, we are screwed. But I think he's going to put his hope into the players. If there is an injury, they can deal with it. And that's why he's picked the players he has. They can face adversity. They're the dogs of New South Wales. That they might not be the most talented, but he's picked guys that he can think will do a job at the worst of times. So I'm happy to back it and see how it goes for now. Maybe another late swap that could happen. Mcinnes might go start at hooker. Robson might start off the bench, and Yo might start at lock. I see Mcinnes playing that first 20 potentially at hooker, and Yo playing at lock, and bringing on a fresh Robson later on. I see that happening potentially. So Robson isn't going to have to play 80 minutes.
I prefer that as well, to be honest. I really do prefer that, and it suits their rotation a lot better.
Mm.
Talking about the rotation here as well, are you getting what you'll get, like in terms of attack, in terms of ball playing, what you're getting with Yo, what you're getting with Mcinnes through the middle? Are you already sort of getting that with Trbojevic here as well? I just feel like, yes, Trbojevic is a great pick here, that defensively is going to be great. He's going to play big minutes, takes a lot of pressure off guys like Olakau'atu, Leniu, Young coming off the bench into this rotation. But I feel like you're already getting that ball playing lock. And we've talked about not too many chefs in the kitchen here. That's right. Reece Robson has most likely been picked. But do you feel like in terms of attack, it could be a bit of a peril having Tom Trbojevic in that number 10 role?
I think his objective will be clear. He won't have that many run meters. He in the first half, I would assume. I think his job is to hold that middle in defense. If he comes off the first half with 2 runs for 30 meters or 3 runs for 30 meters, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm the same. I just mean more in terms of the ball playing and being that link man through the middle. You've got 3 players that are realistically one of the better link men in the comp, realistically, in Trbojevic and Yo, and it maybe even Mcinnes in that conversation as well. So I don't know. I just feel like when you're talking about the rotation, how this is going to work, what we could be seeing off the bench here, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one.
I don't mind. It feels like I'm just so optimistic about everything. I'm just a naive New South Wales supporter, but I think with Jake Trbojevic, I think he's been pretty good at putting the ball playing away when he needs to. And for Manly over the last couple of years, he hasn't really been as good a ball player as he was when he first come onto the scene. So I'm pretty confident he comes on, doesn't get in the way. I think it's Yo is the one that you want coming on and doing the ball playing. Mcinnes is just going to truck nut, going to run for 1,000 meters in the first half. I think, yeah, that's why I think Yo should start, bring that extra dynamic of ball playing. He's got the combination with Jerome Luai and Dylan Edwards, so he can start that shape for their left side play. Maybe we see Edwards play on the left side for the first time ever. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And then on the right side, just keep Nico Hynes, let him do what he does. So, yeah, interesting to see how they do manage all these ball players.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be very, very interesting. And as I said, it all goes back to this rotation and just how this team is looking at the moment and what we can see in front of us. My next point is Spencer Leniu. Now, obviously, he's only played 3 or 4 games this season, getting brought into the Origin side. Yes, I can see what he can bring off the bench in terms of impact. I've seen what he's done over the past 4 weeks for the Roosters. Do you think it's a bit early bringing in a guy like Spencer Leniu? Would you have gone down the route of Barnett?
Yeah, I thought Barnett was going to be in my side, but looking at this side already, I think Spencer Leniu is the type of guy who probably should have just been that utility guy. I see Olakau'atu coming on and playing a role similar to what Leniu does for club, just coming on 20 minutes and just giving it his all. So I'm a bit confused obviously Leniu's going to have the same role that he does at club, but that makes me more confused on what Olakau'atu's role is as well now.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably wouldn't have had Olakau'atu on the bench. I would have started him. I'd rather Martin off the bench because I feel like he's just that mongrel that's going to give 10% off the bench. And he's been playing middle too for Penrith over the past few weeks. So maybe we even see Martin move into the middle at some stage in the game. We see Olakau'atu maybe come on in that back row role at right edge back row. Maybe that's something that we see a little bit later in the game too. I would love to just be a fly on the wall of Madge Maguire just to know what he's thinking because yeah, look, it's a very interesting side that we've got named here. Now, talking about Hynes, if he does go down over the next few days, obviously scans pending. We don't have any results as of yet, but if Hynes goes down, I'm hearing talk that Luke Keary's coming in. Obviously the 19 at the moment, and Luke Keary will come in and take that 7 jersey. Would you rather go, and we obviously saw Luai at 7 over the past week, but would you go with Luai and Burton in the halves?
Yeah, I think so. I think Burton's good enough to play in the left pocket. He's played with the Penrith connection, so he can come in and do a job seamlessly. I think Luke Keary going into the side kind of confuses things, in my opinion. So I think Burton's the play to go in there. And his kicking game is just that much better than both of theirs. The long kicking game, that is.
Yeah, I agree. And the only thing that sort of, and again, we talk about the way that this squad's been put together, but a lot of these halves, well, all of these halves, Keary, Luai, Hynes, they're all left side dominant. Well, in my opinion, at least, left side dominant players. There's not really too many guys that out and out are right edge halves, which sort of scares me a little bit if we do go for this Luai-Burton combination. Are they just going to be centered on the left? Are the guys on the right, these debutants, going to get a lot of ball?
Yeah.
You'd think that if they do go the way of Luai and Burton, that Luai would have to sort of condition himself to be that right edge half and maybe roam a little bit.
Yep.
And again, we've seen Burton roam on that right edge for the Bulldogs on the weekend in that big win that we saw from them 2 weeks ago. They can do a job. They can do a job there. So, look, it is going to be interesting. I do expect there to be a few changes. I love your shout of Mcinnes starting at 9 with Robson coming off the bench. It just suits the side a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
A big topic of the week, though, for the Blues before we move on to the Maroons has been the inexperience. Now, I want to throw you this spanner in the works here. Would you, looking at the side that's been named now, with the little bit of lack of experience here, chuck in James Tedesco at fullback just to add that experience? He's the captain. He's been there for the past few years. Or are you happy going into game one with this side, a little bit of an experience with Edwards there at the back?
No, I think Edwards being there is the right call. Tedesco for the last few... I understand why Tedesco being in the side this time would have made more sense. Like, I feel like Teddy could have really risen in this kind of setting with no superstars in the side. I think the reason Yo and Cleary haven't worked in Origin is because Teddy was the captain, overcalling everyone and running his plays on the third or fourth tackle, which was just screwing up the set because they were all over the place. So I think this was really Teddy's platform to perform and do well. But I think what Magic's doing is looking to the future. Cleary's the future. Edwards, he's been the most consistent player for the last 3 years, and every week he makes 2 or 3 game-defining plays. And I think it's time for him to just come in. He's going to know his role. He's not going to come off a leash and do something crazy. Whereas Teddy is a very similar player who needs to play off the back of a lot of people. He won't just create too much from nothing. We've got Tommy Trbojevic, we've got Ryan Pappenhausen who can be these kind of live wires, kind of like Reece Walsh. So if we wanted to go for that sort of player, it's Tom Trbojevic or Ryan Pappenhausen. But with the likes of Dylan Edwards versus James Tedesco, they're very similar players. But I feel like in the effort areas, Dylan Edwards deserves his spot, and I don't see much being different for either player if either player was either side.
Yeah, well, look, I agree in terms of style of play, in terms of what you're going to get from these players. It is going to be quite similar. They're both great in support play. They play very similar games. I am excited to see how this Blues side goes. I've been a bit of a negative Nancy over the past few minutes, but look, I am quite optimistic. I'm hoping that we do see a turnaround here going into game one. Let's take a look at Queensland. Obviously, a few changes here, and the big one, which we mentioned at the start, was Selwyn Cobbo coming off the bench. Talk to me. How does Selwyn Cobbo get used? If you're the coach here, if you're Billy Slater, how is he coming into the game?
Yeah, I think we learned from last year that a bench utility needs to have some sort of plan in case no injuries do happen, because it's a wasted position on the bench if you don't use it. We saw Gutho last year came on no direction. Hynes last year came on field in the centres and it just kind of didn't work. So I think what Cobbo will do, he'll come on in the back of the first half, maybe late in the second half, just to inject something. He'll play that roaming kind of lock role. What Queensland have done in the past with Kalen Ponga and Michael Morgan and the like. So I think there is a clear plan for Selwyn Cobbo to come on. He's put on a bit of size. I think he's played really well this year. So he deserves that position. There will be a plan for him just to cause havoc coming through the middle. And if the game allows it, maybe he'll come in and fill an injury in the outside back. So I don't mind it, but I'm also it's also weird how their bench compared to ours, where they've got nice balance and it feels like we don't.
Yeah, they got nice balance, but I mean, Mo Fodawaker is the only out-and-out front rower that's coming off the bench here. It does put a lot of pressure on guys like Paddy Carrigan. In my opinion, he's probably going to have to play extended minutes now. Collins, Ruben Cotter. Yes, Ruben Cotter and Patrick Carrigan play close to 80 every single week, but in Origin, it is a different beast. It is a different beast. You don't want these guys playing probably more than around 60, 65 minutes. If you're playing 80 minutes in the middle of the park, in an Origin game, credit to you because it's a tough job. But yeah, look, I think it does take it puts a lot of pressure on those guys to play those big minutes, having only Mo Fodawaker coming off the bench. You'd think that Mo Fodawaker replaces Lindsay Collins. And look, Lindsay Collins as well, his form over the past few weeks, it has been a little bit interesting. Yes, we know what Lindsay Collins can do in Origin, but his form has been very questionable. I mean, I think he only had 9 runs on the weekend for about 50 meters. It was just a weird performance. Played around 40 minutes. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm sort of keen to see when Mo Fodawaker comes into the game, who for, but you'd imagine it'd be for Lindsay. What have your thoughts been on Lindsay over the past few weeks?
Yeah, obviously down on form. Roosters have enough middles to cover for the lack of form, but I feel like he'll come into Origin and just do a job. He'll be the best player on the field. Him and Pat Carrigan, Ruben Cotter's been kind of down on form lately, but we know these Queenslanders turn up for Origin, so I'm not worried about them too. I think what they'll do, maybe Stewart goes into the middle rotation. He's a big enough body to go into that middle rotation. So they've got Nanai, Sua. Yeah, I think Stewart does play in that middle rotation a little bit.
I think Nanai would be great coming through the middle. Just put a few kicks in for him on last tackle. Then he'd be a beast. I reckon he'd be an absolute weapon through the middle, to be honest, Nanai. The more I think about it. But yeah, look, I mean, they've definitely got options. Do you think Jermaine Hopgood comes on in the back row, or do you think he comes on through the middle?
He'll come on and play lock, Carrigan up to front row. Maybe that pushes. I think that'll happen. He'll come and play middle.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me about Ezra Mam and Tom Dearden. Now, both of them had pretty decent games on the weekend. Obviously, Ezra Mam a part of a losing side, which sort of hurts him a little bit. But we talk about the guy that we've lost, Cam Munster. What does Cam Munster do? He turns games on its head. He makes things happen. He creates plays out of nothing. He's the guy that can win you a game of football. Yes, Tom Dearden can do that. Yes, Tom Dearden's come in and he's had a great, debut, obviously last year in Origin. I just feel like Ezra Mam replaces what you lost a little bit better than what Tom Dearden does when we're talking about replacing a guy like Cam Munster. I don't know. I don't know about you and what you think, but I'm sort of conflicted. I was even thinking that Ezra Mam might be a smoky at getting that 6 jersey.
Yeah, I think if this was the case in 1 year's time, I think there would have been a stronger case for Ezra Mam. But I think because Dearden's been that next guy for a long time, and Queensland do it really well where they kind of blood the next guy and it's so clear who the next guy is in that path. And I really do think that Tom Dearden's going to be that guy that fills in Cherry Evans' role and plays number 7 when Cherry Evans retires. And then maybe Ezra Mam comes in instead of what everyone thinks Sam Walker's going to come into halfback. So I think it's going to be more of a case of Ezra Mam versus Sam Walker in the future than it is Tom Dearden versus Ezra Mam. I think like that tackle on Cobbo a couple of weeks ago, I think that was one of the plays that would have solidified his position in this side when Cameron Munster went down. I think that they look for someone with grit in Origin, and no doubt Tom Dearden has it. Ezra Mam from time to time has struggled in defence. So I think it probably did come down to defence and attitude in defence. But I think in 1 year's time, it probably would have been a different conversation.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I agree. I know Ezra Mam's only been around. It seems like he's been around for ages, but it's been like 2 or 3 years, I think, He debuted at 19, I'm pretty sure. So, still quite young, still quite fresh, Ezra Mam in this competition and already in the extended bench for Origin. It's actually incredible to see him there.
Yeah.
Now, Felice Kafusi, 18th man, and no Dave Fifita. Talk to me. What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on here? I saw a quote today saying that Dave Fifita, he said the bar so high last year and he hasn't quite reached that bar this year. And I think that's a bit of shit, to be honest. I think he's been just as good this year. He's impacted games. He hasn't had to be that guy running a line and scoring a try. He's done it all himself. Every week his work rate, his stats are always up. I think Clarkey put up a post today saying, comparing all the back rowers and all their stats, and he was by far number one. And I think Nanai was better statistically in some other areas of defense and all that sort of stuff. So I thought Fifita was a lock. I don't know what the go is there, but Vin Diesel coming into the side, Felice Kafusi, I don't knock it if he's not playing. I get him being around the guys and being a Wayne Bennett type of guy, getting him around the boys, but I think it's a missed opportunity for them. I as a New South Wales fan, I'm much more scared seeing Dave Fifita in the side than I am seeing Felice Kafusi on the extended.
Mate, you've taken the words right out of my mouth. I would be shitting myself if I saw Dave Fifita even coming off the bench. You imagine Fifita coming off the bench, you just wouldn't know where he comes on, what he's going to do. He's just an absolute weapon. And when you've got a guy running 200 meters a game, making, between 8 and 10 tackle busts per game as well, watching him against the Broncos, his ball playing has improved out of sight. The way he set up that last try for Alafiana Khan-Pereira, like, he is an absolute weapon. He can cover centre for you. We know that now. He can cover, out wide if you've got an injury in an Origin game. I think it is a no-brainer to have him in this side. And the fact that he's not there, the fact that you've got a Selwyn Cobbo on the bench above him. Yes, Selwyn Cobbo is going to provide a lot of question marks around where he comes into the game. But I probably, again, even comparing him to a Selwyn Cobbo, which is a bit unfair because they're two different positions, but I'd be more scared of Dave Fifita, and I think Dave Fifita would make more sense in the current game than a Selwyn Cobbo would coming off the bench. I don't know about you, but yeah, look, it is just insane. We aren't seeing Dave Fifita here.
Do you think there's a stigma around Dave Fifita that he's not a high worker and he's a bit lazy because he plays for a bit of a bottom tier club at the moment? I think from what I've seen in the last 2 years, it's far from that. I think he's absolutely got rid of that stigma in my eyes. I see him as one of the better working second rows in the competition who has like the highest upside out of anyone. I think he's by far one of the best he probably is the best second row in the comp, in my opinion.
Well, you look at Edwards, who runs 200 meters a game, has, the 5 or 6 tackle busts. We say that he's the best fullback in the comp. And Dave Fifita gets higher stats than that, and we call him lazy. It just doesn't make sense. You've got a guy running 250 meters a game on the edge, and just really, especially with, Brimson, Campbell, a few of their key guys out foreign, he's running that football side.
Yeah.
Randall's the 5'8", but I'd argue that over the past 2 weeks, Dave Fifita's been the 5'8" because he's been directing that team around really well. His ball playing, as I said, improved out of sight. One thing I was quite surprised to find out about Dave Fifita at the start of the year is there's a kicking game there too. So, you're just adding a bit of everything to what is a genetic freak, a guy that probably deserves to be there. Jaden Sewer has been unreal. I thought he'd probably be coming off the bench this year in Origin. Yeah, look, Dave Fifita not being in this side, I can't take any comments of him being lazy because, he's, as you said, and I agree with you, probably one of the better informed back rowers in the competition at the moment. It's just, no one really who's getting higher stats than that.
The difference with Queensland and New South Wales is, though, like, if we're leaving someone like Dave Fifita out, I'll be like, what the hell? Like, where's our X factor coming from? For Queensland, they've got enough X factor there. Like, they've got Cherry Evans, one of the best halfbacks in the competition. They've got Reece Walsh. They've got all their outside backs who are just freaks. I think they've got enough there. They don't need Dave Fifita. They need hard-running back rowers who can set up the outside back. But I really think he kind of adds just that different dynamic. But I do see where Billy is coming from. If they're focusing on getting the ball to Reece Walsh and trying to strip the edges, they need hard-running back rowers. Nanai's going to be a great decoy because he'll always be there to run that hard line. Dave Fifita kind of doesn't do that. He doesn't run them kind of hard decoys. So maybe that's what he's looking at. And but I feel like he could do that and add that to his game if he really wanted to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Now, a point that I want to talk to you about is the back line. Now, you look at Coates and Murray Taulagi. They're both left wingers. One has to move over to the right. You've got Valentine Holmes, who plays on the left. You've got Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow that loves roaming down the left. One of them is going to have to move over to the right. Do you think defensively, now I know probably Valentine Holmes moved to the right last year and did a job. Do you think, though, defensively there could be a few question marks around this right side?
Yeah, I think so. It'll have to be a target, won't it? Because all these guys are naturally left edge. I remember Hammer playing left last year, so I think he's locked into that left. And Xavier Coates, in my opinion, has been the best winger in the comp this year. And he plays left, so I would say that he gets that left wing spot. I think I have seen him play on the right before, but I think given the form and given that Valentine Holmes is probably going to play on the right with him, maybe that's what they do there. So that is an attacking edge for the Blues, which Critter and To'o will go down. I don't know if we can really capitalize with Critter and To'o, to be honest. Like, I don't see our style of play with Luai on the left, that being our dominant side.
But then you go back to, as well, we talk about sides players play on. Critter has been a right centre for the best part of this season as well. So again, it just changes a lot in terms of players coming in, having to completely forget about what they've been trying to do all season and mesh to this attacking style or defensive style of the Origin sides.
Or do they, with Suaalii coming into the side, does Suaalii play left because he's been left all year and Crine play right because he's been right all year?
But then again, do you ignore that combination?
You probably do, because you can trust that Stephen Crichton is going to do a job. You can trust that To'o is going to do a job with whoever he has. It splits up the debutants.
Yeah.
It makes sense, I guess.
It does make sense. I'm sort of warming up to it now a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just always assume that Stephen Crichton and To'o will play alongside each other. But it doesn't make sense for them to do that. Combinations after this game, Suaalii and To'o have a combination. After this game, Crichton and Lomax have a combination. So you can't create combinations unless you pull the trigger.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. It's something to think about for sure.
But in my opinion, with New South Wales, it's not a very flary side, is it?
No. No, it's not at all, Again, we go back to the Tom Trbojevic point I made at the start. I probably would have had Stefano Utsukitmanu in there just for second phase play, few offloads. I think Terrell May's unlucky to miss out on this side.
Yeah.
Especially for, Spencer Leniu in that same Roosters side. Terrell May's been doing some great things all year. Spencer Leniu's come in and after a few weeks has come into this side based off what we've seen from him, back at Penrith and at the start of the year in Las Vegas. Look, interesting. Very, very interesting for sure. I don't mind it. I am warming up to it now a little bit now, just looking at this side. Again, though, if we're going back to New South Wales, it's not just the Crichton-To'o combination you're worrying about. It's the Crichton-To'o-Luai combination that's there.
Yeah. I would have much preferred to see that, but I do think Suaalii will fit in nicely there. He's a hard line runner. Luai kind of likes giving early ball. If he does his two left foot steps inwards. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think the outside backs are the problem. I think it's the spine that's the problem trying to get the ball out there. So they're going to have to perform to let them do the job.
Well, this is a question that I was actually going to ask you now. Thanks for reminding me about the spine. Would you have put Isaiah Katoa in the squad?
In the squad, I don't think it hurts. I think it's a bit early to consider having him in the side at all. But in the squad, if he's a genuine halfback, and he could legitimately be a number 6 to Nathan Cleary if all these sixes don't work out. Like, Luai has had question marks over him for a long time, and I think he's definitely earned that jersey in the last 2 weeks. Apart from that, Cody Walker's getting old, Luke Keary's getting old, Mitch Moses and Nicho Hynes are probably the front runners for that 6th spot in the future. But I see a world where maybe Isaiah Katoa comes in and maybe gives Nathan Cleary a bit of free rein and kind of gives him that role that he flourished in the grand final. So
I think that the future halves combination for the Blues is going to be Isaiah Katoa at 7, and Nathan Cleary at 6. I think that's what we're working towards in the future.
Maybe not physical numbers, but that's what they'll be playing. Like, Cleary will have that 7, but physically, Isaiah Katoa will have it. Or Nathan Cleary / Jet Cleary.
True, very true. We'll have to wait and see what he does at the Wars. But yeah, look, I mean, it's cool talking about the future. I tell you that for free. But look, I honestly, if Hynes goes down, I think it changes that conversation. Yeah, we say that Isaiah Katoa is not ready. You know, he's quite young. He is only 20 years old. Look at the circumstances we're currently under. Moses, potentially Hynes, Nathan Cleary. They're pretty much the top 3 halves you're getting. Obviously, Jack Whiten has retired from rep footy as well. So he's not going to be in that halves discussion anymore. Maybe I'm just getting a little bit overexcited here, but I think you're looking at a guy that was in the top 3 Dally M rankings only a few weeks ago. He's in the top 5 or 6 now. I would not be shocked in the slightest if Hynes goes down, whoever they bring in, whether it be Keary or Burton, and it doesn't work in game 1, or if it doesn't work in game 1, wouldn't shock me in the slightest if we see Isaiah Katoa come in, especially if he continues this form for the Dolphins. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, I do like how Hynes is there, though. I think Hynes, the side's really built around Hynes, isn't it? Like, he's the one X factor in our side that can really put points on for us. So I like how we're going all in on Hynes. In the past, there's kind of been too many superstars getting in the way of each other. So I like how we're going in that one direction. It's Hynes' team. Let Hynes make the calls. But I think putting Isaiah Katoa in there right now is probably a bit much, but I wouldn't mind him in the squad, to be honest.
And I think you made actually a really good point there. Now, it's not a bunch of stars, a bunch of, star players in this side. Maybe, we talk about the side getting built around Hynes. Maybe that's why we've got the side that we've got named here, because it is just a little bit more simple. It's built around Hynes. Hynes can be the star playmaker. He runs the side. Edwards just sits around the back and helps out where he can. Maybe that's why we've got the side that we've got named here.
Well, have a look at the Sharks. They don't play with a bench utility, and look how they've been going. They're coming first in the comp. Hynes is the guy that leads the side. His fullback is Will Kennedy, who is probably the least flairiest fullback in the competition, but it works for the Sharks. The Sharks are coming first with that sort of fullback. Dylan Edwards is like a Will Kennedy on drugs. Like, Dylan Edwards is leading the Dally M medal. Nicho Hynes was up there for quite a while. All these players are outperforming themselves this year. So, I think we're just going to back our guy, back Hynes, and Luai is a perfect backup guy. He's done it for Cleary for years, and defensively we know he's going to do well. So it's scary because Hynes hasn't performed on that level yet. So I think that if I'd seen Hynes perform on the Origin stage before, I'd be much more confident in New South Wales. But the fact that Nico Hynes hasn't done it on this level. And on the game on the weekend, he was having a shocker. Like, kicked 2 balls out on the full. Just did not look himself. If that happens in Origin, we're screwed. Like, we have no backup plan.
Yeah, look, I agree. It's going to be so scary. And again, it's pretty much the exact point I was going to bring up. You look at the game on the weekend, he was under pressure and it didn't work out for him. Ended up picking up an injury, which sort of didn't work out for him either, because didn't give him the opportunity to come back and show us that he could come out of that moment. But yeah, look, it is going to be quite concerning with him going into Origin. The fact that he hasn't performed at that level, obviously the perception around him and playing Origin at the moment, with him coming in and playing centre that one game and wasn't really the best defensively either. Yeah, it is going to be a little bit concerning. I love how we've been talking about Queensland. We've gone on this massive tangent.
I know.
Right. One more question for Queensland is Brendan Piakura. Talk to me about him. He's been fantastic this year and really an unsung hero.
Yeah, he's been really good this year. Obviously, the Broncos got rid of Kurt Capewell to invest all in on him. He's been the future for a long time for the Broncos, and I think we're starting to see this year who he is as a player. He's obviously got a big future. He hasn't quite put it together for multiple games in a row. Obviously got injured early on in the season and had a HIA nice and early on too, but he's stringing some games together now, getting that experience nice and early on. Watch, he'll come back to club footy and absolutely kill it now because he's had that experience. But I think he for that Queensland side, he fits in so nicely. Like, we're talking about them hard running back rows. He is that, and he's also that guy who can. He's very physical and just kind of fits that Queensland culture.
I agree. And look, if there's an injury and he gets called into the side as well, you'd have a lot of confidence in him. And you made the point before. They're just preparing the next guy up going into the next few years. They've done it so well over the past few years. Great to see, a few young guys like Brendan Piakura, like Ezra Mam, get those spots, be around the boys, be around the squad. I feel like New South Wales had the opportunity to do that. Yeah, Barnett's new, but Barnett's not the youngest guy I've ever seen. Luke Keary, you said it yourself, he's not the youngest guy I've ever seen either. Burton's been there before. Look, Burton had to be in the squad. If he wasn't in the squad, there'd be some issues. But yeah, look, I wish they would have given maybe an opportunity to Isaiah Qatar come into the squad, just be around the boys, be around that sort of experience, or just find a young guy to come in and have that role as well. But looking at both of these two sides, mate, who has the better lineup going into game one? And look, I'll try myself to get the New South Wales bias out of me a little bit for this one, but what are you thinking?
I'm looking side to side. One team has played together before. Side to side, that team looks better on paper. It's Queensland, but I think we'll be surprised by how New South Wales perform. I think Madge, with New Zealand, New Zealand put 30 points on Australia's nil in that international game final. So I think he's going for a style of play which works into our favour with this lineup. I do think it's going to be a 1-12 score either way. I do think New South Wales win. I think with all these question marks, it's the story of Origin, isn't it? Like, the underdog always win. And looking at the team side to side, it's the better side is Queensland. Queensland should realistically put a score on them, but I know. I think New South Wales.
I think from the point we made before about this side being built around Hynes, and it's very different to the side we've seen previous. It could be the best thing for New South Wales. It could also be the downfall for New South Wales as well. I do agree, though. I think that New South Wales can get the job done. I'm hoping and being optimistic. Trying to get that negative Nancy out of me. Yeah, look, I think that New South Wales can realistically get the job done with the side picked, with the side built around Hynes. It's just going to be about Hynes playing under pressure and how he can manage that pressure as well, what he does when the pressure's on. Because I tell you what, with a forward pack of Ruben Cotter, Lindsay Collins, Jeremiah Nanai, Jaden Sewer, Paddy Carrigan, the pressure is going to be on. They're going to be switched on right from the kickoff. It's just going to be about how he manages the side, get the jitters out early, take a few runs maybe even as well in the first few sets of the game. Just get those jitters out and then know your role, run this footy side. Hopefully New South Wales get up. I'm praying for New South Wales to get up as well. Now that the Origin chat's done, let's talk a bit about round 13. The next round we've currently got some great games of footy on the weekend. We obviously have the Eels, the Sharks, the Knights, the Bulldogs, Panthers, Dragons. We have the Dolphins and the Raiders and the Roosters and the Cowboys. I'll quickly get your tips, mate. Sharks, Eels. Haven't seen any lineups yet, but what are you thinking based off the form you've seen so far and with a few Origin outs?
Think Para get the job done. With Nico and Mcinnes out. Mcinnes is a massive loss.
I think that it's going to be interesting. Eels at home, not the best performance against the Rabbitohs, who realistically they should have beaten. I mean, I'm a Rabbitohs supporter myself, but based off the footy that we've seen in the past from the Rabbitohs, I didn't expect that performance. Look, I think the Eels need a bounce back. I think they've got a great opportunity here against the Sharks side, who, yes, Hynes, Mcinnes are out. They've still got a few stars here. Iro, Talakai's been outstanding off the bench. Ronaldo Mulatalo as well. I'm probably going to go. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm probably going to go with the Eels. I like it. I like that rough call.
Yeah, I think bye-round footy is so different. It's this week's going to be tough for tipping, to be honest.
I agree. And when, obviously on the footy show at the moment with myself and Rennie and Darcy, I haven't had the best tipping record so far. The bet slips haven't been going too well, but look, hopefully we turn that around over the next few weeks, particularly this week. Knights and Bulldogs, mate. What are we thinking here? A few outs. Burton, Critter out for the Dogs. Knights, not too many outs here.
Yeah, I think Newcastle performed well coming off the bye. Bulldogs missing some players. I'm not sure if Matt Burton is available, but if he is the 18th man and they're waiting on Hynes' kind of fitness, I assume he won't play. So I'm going to go the Newcastle Knights.
Yeah, I don't think Burton plays. I think that he's the 18th man. Regardless of what happens with Nicho Hynes, he's obviously the 18th man at the moment. So I think that Burton won't play. I'm assuming Burton won't play. I'll probably go the Knights as well. Panthers, Dragons. What are we thinking?
Panthers are missing quite a few players as well. So the Dragons, I'll go the Panthers.
The Panthers halves pairing is just going to be odd. Is it going to be Tyrone Peachy and Dane Laurie this week? Is it going to be, there's a young Trent guy that I've heard a little bit about.
Yeah.
Halfback.
I'm pretty sure we'll see Isaiah Yongi get his crack at fullback as well. So he's pretty well hyped. So hopefully see him do well. I don't know who the halves are going to be. It's going to be Dane Laurie and someone else. They're going to pluck someone from somewhere. Jack Cleary, maybe.
Oh, I don't mind that call. Jack Cleary.
Yeah.
Watch out. Bit young.
He's 18.
Is he 18? Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, Jack Cleary, maybe. You'll have to wait and see. I'll probably go the Panthers as well, but definitely not too confident. Yes, the Dragons do have Ben Hunt and Jaden Sewell out, who are probably two of their best players at the moment. Lomax as well. I'm going to go Panthers. Finns and Raiders.
I'm going to go. I'll go the Raiders. I remember the Raiders won in a Golden Point game last year. Jamal Fogarty kicked the winning field goal. I don't know. I like what I've seen from the Raiders this year.
I like the Raiders too, mate. And I think that the Finns, without Hammer, Trey Fuller comes in, which is going to be scary. He's been unreal. And I'm keen to see him back in first grade. I like the Raiders as well. And then Roosters, Cowboys. What are we thinking?
Roosters are going to put a score on them.
You reckon? Yeah, I mean, still having Tedesco in this side. Sam Walker's still in the side as well. Luke Keary's realistically, they've pretty much got a full team, eh? There's no one. What about the Roosters going from having basically not many players playing during the Origin period to having a full team?
Yeah, well, they're missing Lindsay Collins, Spencer Lenu, but if one thing they can deal with, that's forward depth being out. So very exciting for them.
Well, we might see a Xavier Vaha debut potentially too on the weekend, depending on how deep their forward vote, how deep their forward pack goes, and obviously how many players they have available at the moment. Struggle to get the words out then. I'm going to go the Roosters as well. I mean, I agree, mate. Pretty much a full side. Tedesco playing for the first time in forever around the Origin period too, which is huge. I imagine he's going to have a massive game as well, considering he didn't get picked for the Blues here. He'd be fired up. I like the Roosters as well. Mate, pleasure for having you on. Obviously, love talking Origin. It's the favourite time of the year, and I'm keen to see if our Blues can get up.